I'm so excited for today's episode because I'm going to be teaching you my top tips for success. So get a pen and paper and listen carefully because class is in session. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Fashion Masterclass. I'm Angela Taylor-George. So today we're talking about success tips. These are tips that I've learned over 4 decades. And I've mentioned in earlier episodes, I've owned multiple businesses. The last business, Allison Trixie, I've had for 23 years. And prior to that, I had a showroom for 10 years. I was a designer's rep. I also had a retail store. When I had my showroom and I was a rep, I was working a lot with designers and brands, and I really got a lot of experience working with various brands over my 10-year tenure as a multi-line showroom. So I got an opportunity to work with some of the best designers of the 90s. I was repping some of the top tier lines in those days, and my showroom was known as the place to go to find all new and exciting trends that were going to be happening. Basically, were going to be happening because the trends really started they were not everywhere else. They started at Times 2 Showroom. That was the name of my showroom, and then they went out from there. So I wanted to share, and this is in no order of importance. I'm just really as I jotted them down. But one of the first tips I jotted down was to know your numbers. This is so important, to know how much money you have coming in, to know how much you're spending on things, to know, I know it's hard sometimes especially if you're a designer and you're a creative and you don't really have that business sense. It's really easy to just kind of defer to others, to be watching your interests and watching your money. And I think it's really important that you definitely get a basic understanding of accounting fundamentals. Super important. With this fundamental sense of your numbers, you can accomplish a lot. And I would suggest, if you don't have the head for it, have somebody that you know or that you can connect with somehow, but that knows numbers, that can kind of give you, at least your accountant can give you a basic understanding. But I do want to say one thing. Accountants are there for tax reasons. They're not there to grow your company. Accountants are there to file your tax returns. If you need somebody who's going to be looking at your numbers to grow your business, that's more of a CFO or a chief financial officer. That's what chief financial officers do. Accountants that I have found over the years, they do my taxes. They're not really telling me I'm spending too much here, not enough there. They're tax men. That's what they do. They are there to help you to pay the least amount of taxes. That's their job, fundamentally. So it's really important to learn about your numbers, learn basics like a balance sheet or a profit and loss. If you're not in this for a vanity project or a passion project, you are in it, like most other people, to make money. So it's really important that you have an understanding of fundamental principles of accounting. So that's know your numbers, super important. Also, kind of feeding into that is like really focusing on sales. What I have found, and I'm guilty of it as well, like if you're really focused on running your company and designing and manufacturing and distribution and like overseeing all that stuff, those are the mechanics of running a company. But sales are why you're doing all those other things are because you have sales. Someone said this recently. I was at a seminar and it really landed and made so much sense. They said, imagine you're a fisherman. You go out fishing, right? You get the fish, you bring the fish in, you scale the fish, you fillet the fish, you clean the fish, you scale it, you fillet it, you package it, you bring it to the store, you put it on the shelf, and you sell it, right? There's nobody doing the fishing. So that is sales. You have to be focused on getting sales, because while you're busy designing and manufacturing and shipping what you already have sales on, you're not getting other sales. So sales are super important. And the number one reason why companies don't do well, they'll say lack of money. It's lack of sales. Make no mistake about that. Lack of money means lack of sales. for a small company, I'm just talking about, small to mid-sized companies, typically lack of money is lack of sales. High expenses, low sales. So it's really important to be focused, have somebody focusing on sales at all times. Not we're going to focus on sales now, and then we're going to manufacture this and ship it. Then we're going to focus on sales again. Then we're going to design, manufacture, ship, and then focus on sales. Sales has to be an ongoing component that's happening in real time all the time. So that's really big tip. Also, I'm going to talk about fit and quality. Now, especially if you're making apparel, you could have the most gorgeous design and sell it to all the best accounts or get tons of orders, from consumers. But if you don't have a properly fitted garment, if it doesn't fit, you're going to get returns and nobody's going to buy again. If the quality is not good and you ship a garment and it falls apart after they wash it, the quality's not good, or threads are hanging, or it's made slightly wrong, anything that can happen. It is Murphy's Law. There is a saying about Murphy's Law: anything that can happen can go wrong, and it does. And it does in manufacturing apparel. You will be constantly putting out fires, and you will go very quickly from perfection to it's good enough to ship it. So that's another thing. Don't get caught up in this outcome of things have to be perfect. They have to be pretty damn good and 99%, but they don't have to be perfect. Because the things that you discern with your trained eye are not the things that someone else will see. There would be times when I would see something that came in from a factory and I would be like, I didn't like a particular thing about it. It wasn't perfect. It was 99%, but it wasn't perfect. And I would be all drama and up in arms and how can we ship this? And meanwhile, we would ship it and it would get reorders. So that's another thing, to also understand that you're looking for 99%. You're not looking for 100% all the time, when it comes to manufacturing, because it's made by people and things happen, and a lot of things happen in the course of the production process. Or maybe the button you ordered didn't come in and then you had to sub it. So you had to substitute it. We call it subbing. So you had to sub the button and it wasn't the exact button you wanted. And, you can't freak out about this stuff, or, something, it was the wrong zipper length and then they had to cut them and it cost more money because the factory had to cut down the zippers, whatever. It's these are the things that happen. Number one, fit. You have to make sure it fits right. So that's having a proper fit model, having a good pattern maker, so that's super important. And also quality, making sure that the quality is, pretty spot on. Again, if as long as it's 99%, that's good. Again, your trained eye will detect things that the average consumer won't even notice. So very, very important. But that is stuff you will have failure to launch if those two areas are not taken care of. I also, and back to money, I want to talk about marking and grading for a minute, because when you're marking and grading your styles, grading is sizing: small, medium, large, extra large, whatever. That is grading. Marking is how the pattern pieces fit in the fabric. And what happens is we talk about what's called a tight marker. A tight marker means all the pattern pieces are fitting snugly. If you have a loose marker, the pattern pieces are taking up way too much space, therefore you're taking up more fabric. So you want the marker and grader to really be able to get those pieces in like a tightly placed puzzle. That's how you use the least amount of fabric. So you want to make sure you have a tight marker. Once again, looking at the bottom line, you're saving money on fabric when you can get a tight marker. So that's super important as well, to save money that way. Company culture. Even if you have one intern working there, whoever you have working there, an intern or a full team of people or teams of people, company culture is so important. How is the company running? What is the mission statement of the company? What are the beliefs of the company? Is everybody on board with the mission statement of the company? Are people there because they're happy, or they're just like waiting to jump ship to get somewhere else that they're gonna like better? Are people complaining? Are people happy? Do you have Betty, who has like the big smiley cup Do you have her at, or do you have, somebody who's like trudging in late with a Starbucks, like annoyed that they have to come to work? Who is working for you? Are the people that are there, are they happy to be there? Is the culture good? Are they being compensated for their work? Are they being, and when I say compensated, it could be like a compliment. I'm not even talking about financial. Or if somebody's doing a good job, are you telling them they're doing a good job? Things like that. Also, if you need to talk to somebody about things that they're doing, how is that presented? My friend likes to talk about the compliment sandwich. So the two pieces of bread, those are like the compliments. And in the middle, that's where the stuff that they need to improve, the improvements go in the middle. So you're really great. I love that you're here. I think you can, these areas can be improved. And I really like the way you fill in the blank. So, it's constructive feedback. You're giving somebody constructive criticism that, to recognize that, as much as people are there to support your mission as the founder or the owner of the company, if you are owning your own company, as much as they're there to support your mission, they have dreams and hopes and desires too, these people that are working for you. And it's so important to recognize that, and recognize the people that work for you and to appreciate the people that work for you. So that's super important. Let's remember that you all hired these people that are there. These are the people that you chose to be on your team. So it's really important to know how to interview people ahead of time. And that is definitely a skill set that comes with time. Like really knowing how to understand how, where people's strong suits are. And I'm talking beyond calling for a reference, because anybody you call for a reference, any reference they give you, they're going to give you a good reference, because they wouldn't give you someone that would give them a bad reference. So you have to dig deeper than a reference to really understand. And so good interview skills are really important to really understand. And the thing with interviewing is also listening to what they're saying, not what you want to hear. Like if you're looking to fill a certain role, it's really important that they understand that there's a role that needs to be filled and that you have criteria for that role and things that person needs to be doing. And it's really important that they understand that when you're in the interview, that you're actually interviewing them and they're not interviewing you, which they will do. People want to understand more about the role or more about the company, and they will interview you, but it's important that you interview them first and to understand, to make sure that they have the skill set that you're looking for. I know early on, sometimes I would hire people and I would feel like I had to kind of mold myself around that individual. And if you ever feel that you're molding yourself or your expectations around a job around an individual, it's probably not the right fit for you. Because the right fit is somebody that can fulfill the criteria of the role and what you want done. They need to be able to fulfill your desire of what needs to be done. You're paying their salary, they're not paying your salary. So it's really important to be able to know what the job is, be able to communicate the job, and once you hire them, know what the job is, communicate the job, and see that they're, that there are checks and balances, that they're doing it. I also feel it's important to provide structure when people come into an organization. Not like, yeah, sure, come in, whatever you think is good, let me know. If you think there's a better way to do it, just let me know how to do that. I find that usually doesn't work. I've just found sometimes people can want to do things the way they want to do them, regardless of what is the best way to do them sometimes. Or maybe there could be a shortcut that could be taken, but that shouldn't be taken, So I think it's important that there's structure in place. The structure could be flexible, if it makes sense. Employing good interview techniques is very important, because those are the people that you're bringing in that are the culture, or become the culture of the company. So it really starts with the people that you're choosing. Also, good customer service goes without saying. Today, there's a review about anything, and people just want to write reviews. They want to write like mini novels, like people are just really into reviews. So you really want to I have always found that I want to keep the customer happy, because that one dissatisfied customer tells all her friends. And before you know it, exponentially, you've basically pissed off 100 people. You know what I mean? From that one customer. So I think the customer is always right. And I think it's really the way to run business today. Because I could tell you, when I have good customer service, I am the first person that, I remember one time I bought a picture on Guilt Group, and it was like a big painted poster picture, and it came in and it wasn't what I had seen online, and I basically told them that it wasn't what it was, and they were like, okay, we're gonna credit you and keep it. Now, you can have it, like, we don't want it back, we'll just credit you. Now, don't you think I told like every person I know about that? Like, that was like amazing to me. That was like the first thing. It happens now a lot, but that was the first time they said, keep it and we're gonna credit your account. And then it happened again with Chewy.com, which that's for pets. I got a pet bag and I got a couple, and I only was gonna keep one, and I wanted to return the other one, and they said, they're like, you know what, just donate it to your local shelter. We're gonna credit you. You didn't think, I told everybody about that. When you have good customer service, these are your raving fans. You want raving fans, you know, and not just customers, but raving fans. So you want to create raving fans. So good customer service creates raving fans, and that's super important. And if you feel you need more personalized attention, that's why I want to talk to you about coaching and consulting that I do. And what that is I take a deep dive into your business. I take a deep dive into all these areas we're talking about, into production, into design, into distribution, into finance, into everything, basically, just like kind of a 360 into your company. And if there are things that I see that you could benefit from, or other resources that I would bring in, or things like that, it's just a matter of me taking a deep dive and just really seeing and assessing your business, and just seeing that you're doing things efficiently, because it's really easy to lose money. It is easy to go out of business in the fashion industry, and especially now with the way the industry is, the way it's shrunken down. It's been disrupted on so many levels that it's more than ever is the time to really want to have a professional set of eyes on your business. Someone that can see the things that you don't see. Somebody that can make the incremental changes. And these are just like millimeter shifts can mean all the difference in a business. It can go from unprofitable to super uber successful. So this is what I would like to offer you. If you need coaching, if you need consulting, I am available to do that. So if you go into the description, you can send me an email and write in the subject line coaching, and I'll get back to you and let you know what type of coaching packages that I have available. But this is for somebody that understands that it's something that could cost money now, but that can save so much in the future and can build revenue for the future. It's really about building revenue for your future and doing things on a proper foundation, especially, I mean, if you're new, even if you've been in business 10 or 15 or however many years, I mean, I can coach at all levels. Particularly if you're new, it's good to have somebody that has eyes on your brand. So subscribe, like, and share the content. And jump into the Facebook group, The Fashion Masterclass. And thanks for watching The Fashion Masterclass.